You are listening to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda. On this episode, we are discussing New Homes for Idle Hands, track 11 on Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes. Greg, it's been a while.
Indeed, it's been about a month. I'd say we're knocking through about one of these a month at this point. I feel pretty good about our pace. I don't know about you, man, but I like it.
For considering it was the summer and we had like life stuff going on, I think one a month is completely reasonable. And anyone who says otherwise, I'm unwilling to hear them out.
And we've had some pretty cool bonus episodes that have popped up in the middle. For example, I'm thinking of the recent fabulous episode Takeover with John Danik from the Hard Times and Winnipeg friend of the podcast, musician and recurring guest on this show, Paul Hodgert, who did an amazing episode on with Todd Kowalski as the guest on I Spy's Guide to Excruciatingly Correct Behavior, which is the B-side to the I'd Rather Be Flag Burning 10-inch, but is only called Guide to Excruciatingly Correct Behavior on the CD version of that release. So we also had Paul talk to Matt Comtois, a friend of the show, who did a cover of Adventures in Zoochosis in French. And then I also did a deluxe compilation episode for Adventures in Zoochosis where I compiled all three of the episodes we've ever made about Adventures in Zoochosis. So there's been stuff happening in the podcast, and it's great.
We have high hopes of doing an all French episode about that cover as well. But,
yes,
you know, that relies on my schedule, and that is not easy to work around.
It's going to happen, and listeners of the podcast someday will get a surprise episode in their feed where Steve and Matt are all in French. There will be no English allowed on the episode, so that'll be a good time. One I'm looking forward to releasing, even though I'll have no idea what you guys say. You guys could say that Greg smells like butts 400 times in a row, and I'll just be like, man, this is so intellectual. It sounds so great. These guys are so good at French. And the whole time it could just be one big diss track, and I would never even know. So
we're just going to say stuff like Greg mange les fesses.
Wait, say that one more time.
Greg mange les fesses.
Oh, okay. That sounds so wonderful.
Right, and it said Greg eats butts.
Well, I mean, it's what a nice thing. What a nice thing. And so there's going to be the French diss track about me, which I'm looking forward to sometime soon. So there's been cool stuff happening here, and I'm pretty excited about it, even though we're, taking our sweet ass time on getting these like numbered episodes out.
So in this portion, we're just going to do some catch up. So I don't think we've recorded an episode since we both attended the Bills game together, have we?
No. This is fresh content. This is good material here.
So Greg and I attended was it the second to last preseason Buffalo Bills game together?
There were 3 preseason games for the Buffalo Bills. We went to the second one.
The second one. So we attended that. And it was my first time attending a Buffalo Bills game.
Of any kind, even though it wasn't a real game.
Yeah, it was my first time attending anything at Highmark Stadium, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
What a wonderful experience that was.
I was so delighted with the way that the day panned out. We went and we did a full tailgate. We, did the Buffalo Bills tailgate thing for 4 hours before the game. We had a crew of people. There was food and coolers and drinks and music and
it was
tents
awesome.
And wavy arm.
And surprisingly, considering it was, I want to say probably 33 degrees Celsius, which is, I want to say in the 80s and 90s degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
We had a fire pit going that was absolutely unbearably hot.
Yeah, well, it's part of the rules. Like, you can't go to that lot and not have the fire pit going. It's part of the tradition for the particular group that we go to the games with, and that's just the way it goes.
I love it. Don't compromise on tradition just because it's scorchingly hot.
It was brutal, man. We've been talking about that a lot because it's still super hot here.
Yeah.
It was in the upper 20s Celsius today. Maybe 30. Like,
we turn the air conditioning back on. It's hot.
Yeah, it's been super hot. And so everybody in Buffalo is actually starting to complain about the heat at this point. This is such a cold place to
Wow.
live. Usually the people are like, all right, we're ready. We're done with this. Okay. Can we just go to real football weather now? Because fall in Buffalo is usually quite lovely, but it's been a hot one. But our day was awesome. So we did the full tailgate. We went to the game. The Bills did not win, but it was a preseason game. It didn't matter.
They got a touchdown though, which was more than they did the previous game.
It
So
was
that
their
was good.
first preseason touchdown. Yeah, they were not nailing touchdowns for pretty much all the preseason. But my girlfriend, Patrina, did the wallet shuffle, and that led to quite an amazing experience. I want to know if you can go ahead and recount that.
So first of all, she killed the wallet shuffle. She
She
won
did.
wallet shuffle.
She won it. Yeah,
Uh,
dominated. Domination is what I would
which
describe it
yeah,
as.
there was not even a second guess. She just nailed it right off the get. So the prize that she won was the four of us got to go on the field after the game.
Yep. Yep. So go
And
ahead and tell the story.
it was so we walk over to the field entrance and the giant lineup of people to go on the field after, well, I guess a giant, like maybe like 30, 40 people kind of thing. It's us and a bunch of children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And obviously we were going to make the most of this situation. We get down there and in the worst idea ever, they gave us footballs to go out on
Yeah.
the field with. Toy like
Styrofoam.
Nerf footballs,
Yeah,
like
Nerf.
styles. And we get out there and Greg is like, I'm kicking a field goal.
100%. How could
We
you not?
we set Greg up. Greg kicks a field goal.
Second try. Second try.
Second try. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Where did I kick it from though? You got to say where I kicked it from.
He kicked it from the goal line.
It was the 1 yard
1 yard
line.
line.
Okay.
1 yard line.
It wasn't the goal line. It was the 1 yard line, but I kicked it from the 1 yard line. So I kicked an 11-yard field goal with a styrofoam football barefoot.
It definitely was barefoot. There is video out there and it is
There is.
hilarious.
This is a real thing. This actually happened. I can prove it too if anybody needs the receipts. Like bring it on. Challenge me and I will prove you that it actually happened.
And then I was like, I'm gonna kick a field goal. I can kick a field goal. I can hit a 30-yarder with an actual football. So I get up there with this Nerf ball. I put a real wallop on that ball. And it turns out when you kick super hard on a Nerf ball, the ball just kind of bends around your foot. I wound up hitting the security guard in the back that was standing next to the goalpost. So that didn't go well. But we got to run around on the field for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, throwing touchdown passes to each other, taking pictures. It was kind of like a surreal experience for my first Bills game. It was unreal.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that those moments are what really propelled the Bills into the season, but I think we had some effect on them because they won their first game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Would you say that those moments were unscripted?
I'd say they were absolutely unscripted.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Almost unprepared, if you will.
Yeah, 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 very. So, but the Bills have gone on to do pretty well, and I'm a little bit of a doomer. I try to keep my expectations tempered with regards to the Buffalo Bills. It's a defense mechanism that's built into me because you know, I love this game so much I can hardly fucking stand it. And so it's a built-in safety mechanism that I have for myself to temper expectations, but I've been really having a good time so far. And I went to the home opener a couple weeks after you and I went to the game. So I've been to another game since you and I were there.
What a beautiful thing that is. Going to Buffalo Bills games is one of the most beautiful things anyone could do. It is awesome.
It is the holiest site in all of Buffalo. Buffalo is filled with like old churches and stuff like that all over the city, but 100% the holiest site, the most auspicious point of geography in the greater Buffalo, New York area is Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park, New York, just outside of the city of Buffalo, man. It is the spot. It is the place where people go to church, basically. It's kind of a wild thing.
I really hope that it works out that I can get back down for another game this year. Albeit
I'm brainstorming.
the option that you proposed to me happened to coincide with a day that I have Bruce Springsteen tickets, and that is my one non-negotiable in life, as everybody knows.
Yeah. Well, I have to ask this question next because we documented the wallet shuffle with a multi-angle numerous camera angle shot of the wallet shuffle domination. As I'm going to go back to this term, wallet shuffle domination.
Domination.
You were kind enough to compile the footage and create what is clearly an Academy Award winning short film of just pure masterpiece. Tell me about the making of the wallet shuffle film that you provided for us recently.
So what I wanted to do was basically because the Wall of Shuffle inherently is a hilarious game.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what can make this game more hilarious? And it's the Sarah McLachlan song that they play on the We're Killing Pets in the Shelters commercial. So I cut together a multi-camera um video of the wallet shuffle set to that Sarah McLachlan song. If I can hold on. It's what's that song called again? It's called
Oh man.
uh In the Arms of an Angel. That's what it's called. That one there. In the Arms of an Angel. So it was cut to that, and um really I think the juxtaposition between the audio and what's happening in the video are really what get the video to where it needs to be.
Oh, we watched it like 25 times in a row. I mean, it is really well done.
Um, so yeah, I think we just all need to laugh more in life. So that's hence that video.
Well, you provided a tremendous service to recount the day, and you built in some other footage from around the stadium and all the time that we spent together that day. And you created a wonderful keepsake for us to look back on. So hugely appreciated for you for spending a little bit of time to put together that video. Hilariously, we were in the exact same seats for the home opener against the Arizona Cardinals, which was a very stressful game, by the way. Very hard fought victory.
I mean, the
Kyler
Cardinals
Murray,
just
man,
smoked the Rams.
dude, the
Smoked.
Cardinals are good now. Like they were really bad for a couple years there, like when Cliff Kingsbury or whatever his name was the
Yeah.
head coach. Like they were doing bad. Like I feel so bad for JJ Watt that like the end of his career was ending on like such a
Yeah.
terrible time in that franchise's history. But man, watching Kyler Murray scramble, that dude is evasive.
So the
He
Cardinals are
was,
good.
yeah, the
But
Cardinals are,
you know
yeah,
who's
they're good.
better? You know who's better?
Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo Bills. But I am excited for seeing Marvin Harrison Jr. He's a wonderful rookie wide receiver who is going to be cool to watch this year. I got him on my fantasy team, so this is what we really need to be focusing on here on Unscripted Moments, a podcast about the NFL and the Buffalo Bills. It's it's just a fun time of year right now. I'm really excited about sports at the moment, and
WNBA playoffs starting this weekend.
oh,
Super
very
jazzed
cool.
about that.
Very nice. Very good. Anything else going on up by y'all? What you got going on lately besides the Buffalo Bills? Because really, I mean, I have a pretty single tracked mind at the moment.
I mean, I'm kind of with you in that I watch wrestling and I watch football, and that is pretty much I have to deal with, family obligations and stuff like that. But outside of family and work, it's pretty much just the Buffalo Bills and wrestling and WNBA is kind of where I'm rolling these days. I
Yeah.
do have something I would like to discuss with you.
Oh, okay.
So Zoe and I were discussing this the other night based off of dinner. And how familiar are you with dental health?
I mean, I've been to the dentist
Perfect. Great,
numerous
great,
times in my life.
great answer. Okay. Are you familiar with the act of flossing?
I am indeed. Yes, this is a thing that exists.
Okay. Do you know, have you ever used or partaken in the like the water pick water flosser?
Yes, in the 1990s, my mom was obsessed with Waterpik because when I had braces, she read somewhere that that was the way to keep braces clean. So I was an avid water picker in 1996 and 1997.
Wow, you were an early adopter.
I was. And the thing was about the water pick was that it had this big basin that you
Oh
would
yeah.
fill up on top. And then it would just suck the water down through this little suction tube into the high powered hose.
Oh
And it
yeah.
was just a big open air basin that you would just fill up and then it would just, shoot the water into your mouth. it was pretty powerful device back in the late 90s.
Oh yeah, they're wild, these things. So anyways, the discussion was, what are the 5 foods that you can eat that will yield the best water picking experience?
Oh man. Um,
Like, so I initially my first instinct was quinoa,
mm-hmm,
because quinoa is a nightmare in the teeth.
mm-hmm,
But then you have, like, you got your kales, you got your broccolis.
mm-hmm. I'm going with strawberries because of the teeny tiny little seeds.
Okay.
I think that's a big one. The smaller a hard object is inside of a food, the more likely it is to get lodged. So to me, the strawberry is the prime offender.
So in all my thought process, I thought that the number one food item for water flosser results would be a
Mm-hmm.
poppy seed bagel,
I'm with you on that. Poppy seed would be on my list as
or
well.
or everything bagel, because there's poppy seeds on that and sesame seeds.
Yep,
So
yep. So we got the everything bagel seasoning, we've got the poppy seed muffin, and we've got strawberries as our top three at the moment.
yeah, like I think, like, when you like roast broccoli and it gets charred,
Mm-hmm.
I think the end pieces on that are very, very floss worthy.
Uh-huh. I agree. Yeah.
So yeah, anyways, it was just to determine. I need to determine what the ultimate flossing yield food is.
Yeah, and I think that you would have to do something insanely sugary as well. Like I'm thinking about like the Sour Patch Kids. You know how they have
Oh yeah.
the granulated sugar coating the outside? I think that would be a good thing because it's sticky and it's got the granulated bigger pieces of sugar coating the outside. So I think that that would be my candy candidate if I had to choose something that was relatively unhealthy.
That's interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
And like kale always gets stuck in there too.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So how did this conversation end up between the two of you that leads you to bring it to us here today?
Well, it was just interesting in that I think it's interesting to see what different people eat, obviously, and
Hmm.
what yields that result. And I obviously, not everyone owns a water flosser, so like it's hard to have people that don't have one won't know what a good yield is
I am not a water flosser. I have regular floss that has string out of
out of the thing. Yeah.
a plastic container that pulls out of the top and you slice it off at the end with the little metal thingy.
Yeah. I use both, oddly
Ooh.
enough. Yeah, but it's so anyways, I just was curious to hear other people's opinions as to what would be a high yielding floss situation. So if
100% strawberries.
anyone listening, feel free, hop on the Discord. Let us know what your high yield floss food is.
Yeah, we have a Discord and it's pretty fun. So message us if you want to get on it. And you'll be pleased to know, listeners, that without the Discord, the I Spy episode recently, hosted by John Danick and Paul Hodger with, you know, guest extraordinaire Todd Kowalski would not have been possible without the Discord. So big things are happening over there. The Discord is building relationships that are transcending um, greatness because
Wonderful
Dan
community people.
Danik lives in California. Paul lives in Winnipeg. They're making podcasts now together, and they're letting us release them. And Paul went and sat with Todd Kowalski on a bench in a park in Wolseley in Winnipeg and did an in-person interview. It's like it's amazing what's going on. So join us on the Discord because it
Yeah.
is a real good time.
Unless you're a terrible person,
Yeah,
then just
yeah,
don't join
yeah,
us on the Discord. But if
yeah.
you're
Stay
fun,
away.
if you're good, if you're cool, like, join us. But if you suck, like, maybe jog on.
Yeah, if your vibes are bad, I will ban you. It will be relentless and immediate and excruciating, and you will know pain from my ban. I will ban anyone, anywhere.
And
Bring it on.
if you slander the Buffalo Bills, you gone.
Yeah, and there are certain bands that are not allowed to be talked about on Discord. I am on the verge of banning numerous people for bringing up this one band over and over. We're not even going to say it because they are banned.
Is it the band that triggers me every time it's mentioned?
Yes, they are retired in my brain and they are no longer allowed to be talked about on the Discord. So
And I
if
will
you join the Discord,
celebrate.
If you join the Discord and you talk about this one band and all of a sudden you can't access the Discord anymore, you'll know.
I
You'll be
will
like, oh,
celebrate
that must have been the band.
when they perform their last ever concert. I will be dancing in the streets that they never exist ever again.
Woo! Crazy times here. Okay, what else? What else we got? I know we're going to talk about the song eventually, but is there anything else that is on your mind that you would like to send us off in a new direction before we attempt to get serious and, have a nice little celebration of this great song that we're talking about and talk about our guest?
Honestly, there's lots of things I could go into tangents over, but like I feel like people just want to hear us talk about the song. So
There's more episodes in the future, so bank those ideas. We'll move on. So thank you everybody for going on the vamp the vamping part of the show. Okay, so we're going to talk about the song "New Homes for Idle Hands," which we began briefly discussing about 27 minutes ago, and have now returned to. Okay, so we have a great guest on this episode, and his name is Ryan, and he is in a band from New Jersey called Scary Hours. They're on Instagram, Scary Hours NJ. And Ryan got in touch a while back, and he asked what songs we had left because he wanted to do a cover. He'd been thinking about doing one for a long time, and we talk about this in the interview, but we landed on New Homes for Idle Hands, which is fantastic because this is a song that no one has ever asked about when we're doing an episode over. No listeners have ever demanded this episode. And as far as I can tell, the band themselves have not even thought about this song in a long, long time.
which means it's great that we're doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And but the thing is that Ryan is seriously the catalyst for why this episode is being made. Because I would have happily kicked the can down the road on this one for God knows how long. I mean, it's been 4 years and we've never talked about this song one time. But Ska Sucks has like 5 episodes. Like, come on, could have done this one a lot sooner than we did. But Ryan really kickstarted the whole process by doing a great cover. And Ryan's band Scary Hours they have records out, so you can find them on streaming services. You can find them on Bandcamp. So we're gonna hear Ryan's cover of New Homes for Idle Hands, and then you are going to hear my interview that I did with him, and his personal resonance with the content in this song was really nice. I really enjoyed Ryan's commentary. He had a lot of really thoughtful reflections and things to share. So, without further delay, please enjoy Scary Hours cover of New Homes for Idle Hands, and then enjoy my conversation with vocalist Ryan. So, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the other side.
Summer travel again. Hearing the headlines at the window collecting their vision. Looking alarms are enough. Many men trust us. Never gonna walk away. As well as any kid who might do something wrong. There's a trail out of town. If this is the one we will think about. Who's inside neighbors are disappearing. We are the blood. Cause they're doing time. Preventing crime. And it don't matter who they are. It don't matter that they're alive.
Ryan Struck, welcome to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda.
Hey, what's up, Greg? Thanks for having me, man.
I am delighted that you're here. Ryan, maybe you could just spend a moment and introduce yourself to the listeners out there so they know just a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Ryan. I sing for a band called Scary Hours. We're based out of North Jersey. We're about like 7 miles from Manhattan. Um, and I do that in my free time, and during the day, I'm a laborer. I work in a chemical manufacturing facility as a chemical compounder. We spoke about that a little bit briefly off recording. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Scary Hours kind of very in line with the the politics of propaganda, and I say it weird. I call it propaganda. You guys call them propaganda. I'm a weirdo.
It's totally fine. No, you're in the US. Like usually it's there's a little bit of a difference between what country you're in. People in the UK say propaganda like almost exclusively. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's funny like listening to the pod too, and hearing the guests from all over the world and specifically in Canada. When we're talking about the schooling system, you can always tell a Canadian guest, but when they say like grade six, or grade eight, and
Yeah.
I heard you said your daughter's going into sixth grade or whatever, and I was like, oh, okay, he's from the U.S.
Yep. No, I'm just actually across the state from you, kind of. If you go up the 90, cross over to Buffalo, I'm there. So I'm kind of on the border, but I'm originally from Missouri, so I am most definitely a Midwesterner at heart. It's been a few years since I've been there though.
Yeah,
So,
cool.
do you have like a history of performing in bands like going back many years?
Yeah, I learned how to play bass when I was like 14 or 15, and I just never stopped from there. I started playing a lot of what spoke to me first getting into music was definitely the skate punk stuff. My favorite band was NoFX, still is. But I found NoFX, and then I did the deep dive, dude. I got the Fat Wreck comps, and I got into all those bands, and I found 80s hardcore, which was, another thing that really changed my life, and I've just been doing it since.
Hmm, excellent. Do you remember the first time you ever heard propaganda in general? Like, can you like trace it back to a specific moment?
Yes. So I got the fat music for fat people comp, and the first track on that is Anti Manifesto.
Hmm.
Um, I think I bought like a stack of NoFX CDs from a local music shop, and they had the mail-in catalogs that you could send away for. So um I had like $5, and I was like, oh, I want to get something. I got the Fat Music comp, and I mean, dude, you pop it in, and the first track on that is Anti-Manifesto, and it kicks right in, with the four count and that da-na-na, with the beat, the
Yeah.
famous beat, and it just fucking blew my mind right out the gate. And I knew they were different, dude. I knew they were different than I mean, them and like Good Riddance as well was another one, but like you could tell like they're so meta and just so that song topically is so like addressing what they are, and it grabbed me right out the gate, and then from there I just did a deep dive, and I got How to Clean Everything and Let's Talk More Rock, and those records just went into immediate rotation and really haven't left.
What year was that? Do you remember?
I want to say it was 2001, 2002, something like that. And I
Sweet.
think I
So
was
you didn't have to wait very long for Empires to come out.
No, that was the cool thing too. So yeah, I was a fanboy at that time, and then it was around, and then I did like the LimeWire, just type propaganda in the search, and I pulled up as much as I could find from them, and that was around the time that Today's Empires came out, and once I heard those songs, and I was like, okay, they're doing something that's heavier, and being also a fan of the 80s hardcore, and kind of touching into thrash a little bit, I was like, dude, this is like these guys are speaking my language, and I was too young to like really grapple with a lot of the politics and that later in the later stuff. I didn't quite understand it, but always I think that was the thing that also kind of drew me to Propaganda was the things that they talk about. The songwriting is incredible on its own, and just the way that the words are pieced together. But then, and especially listening to your pod as an older adult, and being like, dude, you could spend so long just dissecting one line at a time.
Tell me about it.
Right. um and specifically, and here's you could stop me if I'm rambling too, but I specifically remember listening to your episode on the title track from that record, and it was just like, dude, this song is so much more loaded than I even considered all these years.
Yeah, every single line has like it opens up into like a historical web of the individual life stories of an array of characters throughout history and people who have like lived and died. And I'm just like, this is completely unreal and completely untouchable. So I trust me, I know exactly what you're saying because I've spent the last 4 years doing exactly that.
Yeah, well, you struck gold too with that with the name of the guest on that episode is escaping me, but the person that you had on was just like spot on, like could have
Was
wrote
it
a
Frank?
dissertation. I think, yeah, I think it was.
I think it was Frank Turner. I can't remember. There was also Ian Leger, a guy. He did the punk cello, the punk cellist cover on there.
Yeah.
So I had a couple guests on that episode, but my gosh, it's like going way back in time now. My memory is so shot with regards to these episodes. It's insane. But yeah, I totally get you, man. Every single line and even the simple songs, right? Like I think about a song like "Woe Is Me," utter crap song from the I Spy 10-inch,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, wow, this is like the most like reflective pondering about like friendships and like the closest relationships in your life and all of your buddies, and I'm just like, wow, this is so interesting how every song, even the ones that are like could be seen as like throwaway tracks or super forgotten songs, are just really rich and emotionally deep, pretty much no matter what. Pretty cool.
Yeah, well, it's what separates them, I think, from the rest of the pack, and that's like what you were talking about before. It's cool, like, to have yeah, cool. I found skate punk, and it was this great skateboard band, and they're one of my favorite bands. That's really cool too. But I think that to take the deeper dive is always worth the while with this band, because they're really set apart from the pack, man.
Yeah, totally. Have you ever seen them live before? Do you have any standout memories or stories of being able to rock out with them in person?
Dude, I've never seen them live.
Bummer.
Yeah,
It's worth the drive if you if they come to somewhere like Montreal or Toronto or something. Let me know if you make the trip, because I whenever they come to these like Southern Ontario areas pretty close to Buffalo, I usually try to get on up there. So let me know if you ever are like, if you see some dates and you're eyeballing them, okay?
oh yeah, they're on the bucket list for sure. I gotta see them.
Okay, do you have a favorite record and reason that that record is your favorite?
Yeah, there's so many there's too many answers for this. So I understand. So for me, I think this is the nostalgia talking. I don't objectively think that it's their best record, but in my heart of hearts, Less Talk More Rock is just a fucking masterpiece. It is a masterpiece.
No argument here.
The songwriting, and sonically as well. It's a great sounding record. There's a great podcast. I think it was dude, I think it was This Was the Scene did an interview with Ryan Green about the production, and I was,
He was here.
oh, really?
That might, yeah, he was on this podcast too. I'll point you to the episode later on. It's buried in the list now.
Yeah, I think I might have missed that, but he did a deep dive on the recording of that, and that was great. But yeah, Let's Talk More Rock. Um, specifically, the first song I heard from that, I downloaded it off of LimeWire. Was Nation States, and that's just like, again, just like classic, like Propaganda, like rapid fire lyric attack, and it's I mean, I remember I was like 13 years old writing like, graffitiing my notebooks like they own us, like thinking I was like fucking cool and edgy or whatever. But that's really the stuff that spoke to me. So that's definitely my favorite of theirs. I think as you move along through their discography, you start to find, like we were talking about, where you can really sit with like an individual lyric for a long amount of time and just see the mastery and what they do and how loaded their songs are. So objectively, I think their records got better as they went along. But yeah, the nostalgia factor is strong with Less Talk More Rock, and I think a close second would probably be Potemkin.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Someone on the Facebook appreciate the Propaganda Facebook Appreciation Society yesterday was saying that they thought Potemkin was their worst record. And a few people piled on him, including me, saying things like, cutting I was like, Cutting to the Earth is one of the most impressively performed Propaganda songs ever, if not the most impressively performed, and it's completely overlooked and forgotten by fans. But also Speculative Fiction and Iteration, arguably their best opener and closer companions, because of the way that they're both spec fiction pieces. um you could make the argument that Empires has the best opener and closer as well, but like I just think that the ways that Speculative Fiction and Iteration speak to each other as like a companion piece is amazing as well. But that's another entire little rabbit hole there. But back to Let's Talk. I think about this record all the time because I think it's their most important record. I don't think it's their best record, but I think it's their most important one as far as like the sheer array of ideas that it exposed to you. Think about like state lottery and the ways that election goes. You think about gender with Less Talk and Refusing to Be a Man. You think about animals with PC fascists. Like there's just such a wide range of topics that introduced listeners to what they were doing that you could trace so many people who are professors to this day, like who are academics and universities around the world, who say, "Yeah, Let's Talk More Rock was my introduction to actual intellectual ideas." So you can like trace the origin of people becoming PhD professors to this particular record. So I'm with you on it as well on that. I love it.
Dude, to back that up too, it's funny. I was talking to my wife just yesterday. I was telling her how stoked I was to be part of the pod, and I was like, you'd be astounded by just the number of like the guests that you have, and you get a lot of people who are like in education, and I'm like, these people might not have gone down the path that they did had it not been for this band. And
Totally.
I agree with you about
Absolutely.
the topics from that record too. I was talking to you through the chat, and one of the songs I really wanted to do, but I missed the boat because I was too shy to reach out. But Rio, dude,
Hmm.
I mean, our cities seem to function quite the same. Sweeping ghettos under one big rug makes them easy to contain, and I'm just like, dude, it's so profound, but it's so simple at the same time. And it's just like, being a kid and finding that shit, it's like, you know what? What that's really that's the point of all of this, and you get into Reaganomics and you could really trace it back. And Preteen McCarthy is another great one. Yeah, that record just really is it you're right. It's an important record for them. It might not be their best, but it's an important one.
So, one of my favorite things about our chat is whenever you reached out, is you were like, "Oh yeah, I want to do like a song," and I know that you said you didn't reach out for a long time, but I'm glad you finally did because we got the opportunity to do a song that is essentially abandoned, as far as I can tell, by the band, by fans. No listeners of the podcast have ever asked about this song. And when are you doing an episode on New Homes for Idle Hands? When are you doing it? No one has ever asked. So this is a fabulous opportunity because I was like, oh man, when are we going to do that song? And so you're like a gift to me because it makes me go back and pay attention to this song and force myself to make the episode. And I love this song. It's a great song. I love the tandem vocals between Chris and Todd so much on this one. It really sets Empires apart, songs like this, you know. But tell me a little bit about why you chose to make a cover for New Homes for Idle Hands. Kind of tell me the story of your thinking here.
Yeah, so I looked at the stuff that you were looking to have covered, and I was between this one and um with friends like these.
Yeah.
Um, truth be told, I couldn't bring myself to sing "You Got Another Thing Coming."
Mm.
I was like, I don't know if I could do it. Uh, but no, joking aside, this is one of those songs that has kind of the format lyrically of something that it's kind of got that Rio vibe to it, where it's like
Mm.
it's describing the water we're drowning in, but taking it to the nth. um some might call it hyperbolic, maybe the way it's written, but really it's not. And I just find just the linguistics of it to be very interesting. And sonically too, it's got all the elements of a a melodic hardcore song that I really kind of look for, and but all the elements speak to me. And I was like, I think this is the tune, man. And I think it's, again, I mean, you could say this about every one of their songs, just how the timeless nature of the topics that they speak on. And I think with everything going on at the specifically with the at the American universities right now, with the protests on the occupation of Gaza, um, you know, we're talking about banning a total ideology that doesn't align with the one that serves the state. So I just looked at it and I was like, I think this is the tune, man. I think this is the one I got to do.
Fabulous. Tell me a little bit about your personal connection to what's going on in the lyrics. I'm curious about your how you tie your life. I know you have kind of a nice story, and how like you kind of see yourself like in the story that the song is telling too. Like it's not like completely devoid from personal relevance to you.
Yeah, yeah, this is where you might you have to stop me if I ramble too long. But so um I what I do for a living, it's factory work. And it's not the worst. There's definitely a worse gigs out there, but working in a factory and the CFO drives in the for a meeting, and the Beamer that the convertible Beamer that we essentially bought him with our labor. And it's the mandatory overtime during the pandemic that we had to do, otherwise you were fired. And having to pay your bills, and having to pay a mortgage, and you're just kind of at the mercy of the labor system. um that kind of, and grinding every day. And it's just like, again, it's fine, I'm not bitching, but there's times in the day where it can be really hard. And I sit there and I just question all the things, all the decisions that I've made in my life, and I go, wow, everything that I did in my life brought me to this point. Here I am, um, and not feeling sorry for myself necessarily, but you kind of start to question, like, what am I doing here, and what's my purpose? My purpose is to serve labor. My purpose is to for my labor to be exploited, and for the profit to be siphoned to somebody else. And I think there's a line in the song that, actually, I know there's a line in the song that specifically addresses that. Crime pays. Ask the bankers floating bonds to build cages for the inner city's idle hands instead of schools. And when you talk about how the prison system and the labor system kind of go hand in hand, it's like, the criminalization of poverty, in this country. And it really, it's all related. So the song definitely, it spoke to me. You know, they're gonna get you, whether by your own quote unquote will or by force. Your labor will be exploited, whether you
Mm,
like it or not. Um, to the point, and there's another line, about there not even being a wall between the factory and the prison anymore, and that's kind of, that's that thing I was talking about. Is it hyperbole, or is it real? Because it from a person like me, it looks pretty fucking real. Um,
mm.
yeah.
Yeah, and I've never done work like you do. I haven't. And so, hearing your story actually means a lot to me because it's not something that I have a ton of experience with. And so I know that if I went from the kind of like job that I do to the kind of job that you do at like, closing in on 41 years old, I know that it would be an extremely difficult transition for me. If not downright impossible. You know what I mean? I'd like to think that I would be capable of learning and doing it, but um, there would be a massive change for me in general. And it's just a world that I have absolutely no experience with actually, doing on my own, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. The thing is too, though, also, like, this type of thinking, it's not like, I mean, what I experience from an exploitation point of view, is not exclusive to factory work. This is all of us, really. This is an all of us problem. That's you know and if you just, I mean, more people, and I'm fortunate, dude. I'm really fortunate. Like, I have a home. Like, I'm able to, for the most part. I run into trouble like everybody else, but I can pay my bills. My wife is also a blue collar worker. She's a nurse, and she's been doing it. She worked through the pandemic too, and she's a fucking hero to me as well. And um more of us live like this than don't. And it's not just factory work. If you work in an office, whatever it is that you do, this is relevant to you. And um like, looking at these lyrics, you just, you think, like, okay, your your livelihood depends on your willingness and ability to, even if you don't subscribe to a capital serving ideology, i- your survival depends on your ability to be complicit with it.
Yeah, yeah,
So either you play along, or you're, the lumpen trolls, and you're gonna wind up in fucking prison if you
yeah.
if you don't live that life.
Yeah, what's interesting to me too, I'm trying to think about like my how I connect to it. And one of the things that I do is I do have an office job and I work for like an online schooling system. And my livelihood depends on my ability to stay motionless, staring at a screen, grading the same essay prompt over and over and over for dozens of hours per week, um, on repeat, just going from one assignment, it's, uploaded into a digital format to the next, adding comments. My hands are falling apart. Like my joints and all my fingers are like they're sore all the time. It's just like this way of like my livelihood depends on me sitting here in this one spot and going through these in like an assembly line fashion. So it takes some work to sit here and be motionless. I assure you that very much so.
Yeah, right. Thanks for sharing that with me, man. I know, and it's I think just doing anything for, it's tough. I get into hippie shit, but it's like, you're not, you're not always doing things that feed your soul, and it can be tough, and again, physically, that shit's not really great for you either, as you pointed out. But we're all kind of dealing with that on a day-to-day basis, and this song definitely, I mean, and in a way it does address that.
Yeah, and we're not even really getting into the whole entire aspect of the economy that exists inside the prison system as well. Another thing I don't know a heck of a lot about, which I'll be researching as much as I possibly can before we record the rest of the episode, but it is a the economy of I think about like going back to the pandemic when Governor Andrew Cuomo in New York had people in prisons making, mass vats of sanitizer just to be sent out across the entire state. I mean, there's a huge economy that happens behind the walls of the American prison system that most of us don't even have any idea about.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not on accident. I think it's um Parenti said, like people say, oh, these politicians, they're psychotic, they don't they're crazy. They don't know what they're doing. No, they do though. They actually they did none of this is an accident.
Right.
They do. Yeah, man.
Oh boy. Okay, let's chat about the performance of the song. You made the cover. Tell me a little bit about what we're hearing on the recording of the song that you did in order to create this, because you made this all by yourself, right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about what we are hearing instrumentation wise in the creation of the song.
Yeah, so when I started breaking down the song for the cover, and this is partially kind of what took so long. I didn't think it was gonna be easy by any means, but I didn't think it was gonna be as hard as it was either. Um it really just goes to show, I mean, what an anomaly this band is, musically, just the songwriting. And I think the one thing that stood out to me the most, dude, was just how the character that each member brings to the sound and the weight that they pull. um I wanna say like specifically one member, but it's not. It's really the three of them. You know, I The fucking drums are like, dude, there's a certain swing to George's playing that is
Yeah.
unmatchable. And once I just accepted that, I was like, okay, I'm not getting this the way that he plays. It's just not gonna
Hmm.
happen. Um, and the way that he kind of, I don't know if he does it on purpose. The way he kind of locks into the vocal phrasing too, and points which kind of like, um there's a sharpness to the delivery and attack of the song. It makes it harder. And um uh Chris's guitar, this was, I think, probably the most challenging for me. And I think when you listen to the cover that I put together, you'll see that I did not do the guitar parts the exact way that Chris recorded them. Um, he uses a lot of these. He uses a lot of like the top strings to create harmony, while Todd is keeping the roots down below
Hmm.
him. And this, I know this is musically nerdy shit that's not for
No, go for it.
everybody, so I won't bore everyone. But the biggest challenge with that is like, so I could play the notes that Chris is doing after sitting there and like really trying to figure it out. I got it pretty close, but the way that it just wasn't stacking in a way that sounded rich. So I wound up going back to the drawing board, and I actually broke Chris's guitar part into two separate tracks. Um and so they harmonized together. Um and and then with the bass underneath, I found that I was like, okay, this sounds a little bit more kind of like Scary Hours, which was good too, because it's my take on the song. um
Hmm.
um but yeah, just the musicianship is incredible. And then another thing too, one last thing, to talk about the bass in the song. There's some runs specifically during like the quieter parts of the song that bass was my first instrument. I'd like to think that I'm like the most well versed in it. I can kind of like hear things by ear and put it together pretty quickly. And the way that Todd plays is not like the fingers don't go where I would go, you know? So it's like I had to really sit and be conscious of like, wait, I have to really like work to make it to those frets and 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 but it's not an out they're not outer space kind of runs. They sound fucking beautiful. It's a beautiful piece of music. And specifically for me, I guess if I had to say, man, I think really the bass was what was like, wow, this really kind of brings the magic out, and specifically on those quiet parts. So yeah, I learned a lot, dude, from recording this song. I'm grateful to have the experience.
Yeah, when the band does slow stuff, like I'm thinking about the end of Fadala's Hearse, I'm thinking about the little bit in Failed Imagineer, I'm thinking about like the slow part in this song, do 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 do, like that part of stuff. Um, Todd's really nice about adding some flares to slow sections. It's kind of like a hallmark trademark thing that he does, if you ask me, like throughout the band's entire recorded history since he's been in the band. So you throw a slow part in a song and Todd kind of like comes to the forefront, if you know.
Yeah, and it's great because it also kind of gives you again, music nerd shit, man, not for everybody, but it kind of gives you this like you were talking about before with the interaction between Todd and Chris's vocals. It kind of does give you an interaction between the bass and the guitar, because the guitar parts are pretty busy on not busy, but they're stacked. There's a lot of harmony in there. So when it dials back and then you give Todd some space, it's just their songs are just so well crafted. And it was noticeable when I was putting the song together. I was like, oh, this is the fucking genius of propaganda. This is the things that like I don't even know if they think about that or consider that when they're putting songs together. I think at this point, like you had mentioned, it's become part of like what they do. Um, and it's stuff that I think a passive listener kind of takes for granted. And it makes me wonder about the other songs that I haven't broken down. And I'm just like, dude, these songs are just so harmonically rich.
Yeah. Man, what do you think about that part where Chris comes in, crime peace as the banker's floating bonds? Like I love that when he comes in because Todd is so like high pitched and kind of shrieky and wild. And then Chris comes in and he's so crystal clear. And it's just such an amazing little transition from Todd's vocals to Chris's vocals in this song.
Yeah, dude. I mean, a great observation, man. And it's everything. It's also the melody that he's singing too at that point is just it's so powerful, man. When it finally it goes into that kind of halftime thing, and it's Chris's delivery is always on point, man. But that beautiful just two or three note melody with the guitar interacting with the vocal. It really does bring it home. And Todd's vocal was that was really the thing that kept me in delay with getting this track together, man, because he's singing a fucking melody, but it's so just guttural, the attack on the vocal. And I was just breaking my voice trying to do it because it wasn't sounding great when I was just screaming it the way I do. And Scary Hours is very little melody to it. I kind of gave up on singing and just started screaming my head off. But it wasn't sounding good like that. And when I sang it too clean, I it sounded like a pop punk song. I'm like, damn it, what am I doing? And when I finally got the attack that Todd brings, it's just like it was hurting me. Again, just another testament to the talent of this band.
Yeah, amazing. Um, any other standout memories of recording the cover or any thoughts on this particular tune that you didn't get to mention that is lingering around inside your head?
Um, you know, I I think we kind of touched on most of the stuff. See, I'm a real nerd when it comes to the music stuff, so I appreciate you bringing that up and being able to talk about that. And I know there's a lot of stuff in the lyrics that we didn't get to touch on. I know you'll have another guest to talk about that stuff, so I'll kind of leave it for somebody who's a little bit more well spoken than I am. The song is just loaded. It means a lot to me, man. And I think, just I guess what I could say for anybody who's listening, and I'm just like a dude from Jersey playing in a hardcore band. I really try to set our band apart from I mean, not that I try, it's who I am. I sing about things that are relevant to me with our band. And um every time when I write music, dude, I really do think there's a couple of people that I think about. And I think about Jello Biafra, and what would he say, and what would he write. And another one is Chris. I look up to the man as a songwriter. um, and we have some stuff. I think there's a parallel between this and one of the songs that we have, which is another reason that I kind of wanted to attack this song. And I'll kind of leave it at this. There's some really great punk music out there that is really you know fuck the police and ACAB shit. And I love that. I love that anti-establishment, like, let's get it and just be raw with it. But this song is takes that a step further, and it answers some of that question of, like, why. Well, yeah, fuck the police, yeah, sure, but why? But why, um and I try to take that approach when I write music. Um, so this song was just a great embodiment of why I do what I do. And a shameless plug, if I can urge anybody, if you're into the
100%.
yeah, thank you, man. If I feel free to cut any of the shit out too, but if I could urge anybody, if this is the type of thing that speaks to you, I really try to do my research, and I try to think, what would Chris do? What would Jello do? Yeah, that I think I'll just leave it at that. Fuck the police, but why? Propaganda got you, man.
Nice. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for doing the cover. That Scary Hours record is great too, so everybody should definitely go check that out. You can just find it on any streaming services. Do you all gig a lot? Like, I know you had a show in Philly last night, but are you out there like playing shows people can follow along with some dates and stuff?
Yeah, we've been pretty busy. You'd think I'd have that information handy right now, but I don't. If you're interested, please follow us on socials. All our stuff is at Scary Hours NJ. Um, yeah, we've played a bunch this year. We've been playing all the old songs that I wrote. I recorded everything myself, mostly during the pandemic, and I just wasn't expecting it to escape the basement. But here we are. I have a band, and we have another record coming out. I think in January. And we're playing really the tri-state area. So if anybody and on the East Coast is interested, we'll be out there. You could follow us and get some dates, and we'd love to see you. And please come say hi and say what's up.
Yeah, I'll send your stuff over to the Buffalo Hardcore booking ring as well. Maybe we can get you all up here for a show at our place that we love to call the Pasta Palace, Casa di Francesca, where we have hardcore shows in a banquet room in the back of an Italian restaurant.
That sounds incredible. Sign me up. We have a place, excuse me, we have a place over here called Cinco de Mayo in New Brunswick, and it's a Mexican place. And they just clear out the tables and throw hardcore shows in there on the weekends, and it's great. DIY or die, man. I mean, that's the roots of the scene, and it's what's kind of keeping us together. So I love that. I'd appreciate that, man.
Thank you so much for being here, Ryan. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for the rocking cover of New Homes for Idle Hands, and catch you down the road, okay?
Sounds great, man. Thanks for having me.
And we're back.
All right. Thank you so much to Ryan from Scary Hours for that wonderful cover and conversation. I loved hearing about the creative process that Ryan went through in order to make the cover. Covering a propaganda song is no easy feat, and Ryan did a great job on this very overlooked and seemingly quite forgotten song. And I really enjoyed the conversation and getting to be buds with Ryan as well.
Some out there might call it a hidden gem, if you will.
What's seriously, it completely is. This song is completely fantastic. So let's talk about it. So Steve, this is what I know about the music. Standard tune guitars and a really great song. I got some things about it that I like, but I'm curious what your thoughts particularly are with regards to your musical observations and takeaways from the performance itself.
So I love we briefly discussed this the other day, but like when Todd and Chris trade off and go back and forth in the vocals, awesome. That's when the band are firing on all cylinders when we get that back and forth. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's super rare. It's very special to Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes. They do it on this record a lot. And it is, in my view, like the defining feature of what makes Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes stand out as far as their records go.
Oh, and so the back and forth trade off of vocals, but then when they come together for the chorus, it's even more awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they carefully pick who does what vocal and where, and then bring them together, but not in a way that overuses both of them together. I really like because it makes it more special when it happens.
Yeah, you're talking about the line, it don't matter who they are, it don't matter that they're alive.
Yes.
So good.
So
good.
impactful the way that's delivered with both of them together. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then the guitar work in the chorus, in the chorus transition. So after the chorus transition, the guitar work in there is super slick. The picking that happens and that riff is sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And then the interlude at 47 seconds is beautiful.
It really is. I had a note of that too. It's like 45 to 50 seconds, like those 5 seconds, so much happens in those 5 seconds that really is such a wonderful connection between the first half of the song and the second half of the song. What was it about that interlude that really like grabs you?
I think the way it's structured in that it's super short, but that it lives between two kind of not chaotic, but more like aggressive parts of the song. Like it the way it comes in after one and then before, it's like it amplifies those sections to have those sections mean more with this beautiful part in between. It's really, really well done.
Yeah, and something that reminds me of is that slower interlude part at 45 to 50 seconds. I mean, you could drop that section into like the outro of Fadala's Hearse, or you could drop it into Cut into the Earth, or you could drop it into Life at Disconnect. Like to me, that little section is almost like a preview of what we're going to go on to hear a lot more on the next record, Potemkin City Limits. Like that to me is like a preview. That 5 seconds is a snapshot of where Todd goes on the next record. Does that make sense?
The little teaser.
It is. It really is. And it's just boom right there for everybody to see. And today I was listening to it. I was like, oh my God, it's like that slow outro to Fidala's Hearse, and it's like cut into the earth, like previewed in a 5 second snapshot, which then, comes to fruition on the next LP in a much more fleshed out format. Because this record, and so today's Empires and Potemkin could not be more different sonically in so many ways, but that 5 seconds is such a great preview of where the band goes next.
I can't remember what band it is, but I think I remember them talking about it on Hard Lore once. Another podcast.
Yeah, it's a great podcast.
Great podcast, love it, religiously watch it. Anyways, they were talking, I can't remember who they were interviewing, but they were talking to someone. It may have been the guy from Code Orange. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But they were talking about how on every album they put out a teaser as to what the next album is going to be. And it's
Ooh.
a hidden in the album as to what the direction of the following album is going to be. I can't remember who it is exactly. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, please message us and let us know. But I do distinctly remember there being a discussion in which one artist or band puts like special hidden things in every album to indicate what the next one is going to be.
Well, I know that the Hardlore guys are going to reach out and tell us because they religiously listen to this podcast. No question. They unquestionably listen to this podcast and are obsessed beyond belief with our show. So I'll expect that email, roughly 55 minutes after the release of this episode, because I know they'll be eagerly awaiting this in their podcast queue.
Like when I talked to Bo at Tied Down 2 years ago and I said, "Hey, Bo, do you want to come on and talk about propaganda?" He's like, "Oh, you mean the guys who wrote Ska Sucks? No, thanks."
Wow. Wow. Burn. Ugh. Oh, that hurts. That one hurts. But it's fine. It's fine. I'll let that one slide. They're doing great stuff over there on their show. But what an oversight for people who appreciate heavy music. That's just my opinion. Quite an oversight. Kind of a swing and a miss, if you ask me. But, they're going to do what they're going to do.
I think I caught him at the wrong time, to be honest. He was at the merch booth. I caught him at the wrong time. I'm sure had I asked Colin would have been more into it, but
all right,
we'll
well,
see.
Colin, since I know you're hearing this, hit me up. Did you watch the guitar playthrough video that I sent you from Clem, who has a wonderful YouTube channel called Last Note and has done many propaganda covers, including New Homes for Idle Hands?
I did watch it, and as I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, man, I wish I was a good guitar player.
Yeah, Clem's good, man. He is real good. That video from Clem came out on August 14th of 2021. So if you want to see a fabulous and accurate playthrough video, go watch Clem Last Note YouTube August 14th, 2021. Super good. Super good. Any other musical observations from this particular tune?
So not musical, but so I thought it was interesting. So I looked up the credits for this song on Tidal because Tidal lists like in-depth credits for all the music.
Ooh.
And let me bring her up for you here.
Please.
Where's my Tidal window? Sorry, I'm on my work computer right now, so I've got, as always, on my work computer.
Breaking the law.
I've got probably 75 tabs on the computer right now.
I've got a good 20 open on my machine as well, and I spent a little bit too much of my work day to day deleting old .mov files.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I watch student speeches all day long, and I wind up with many gigabytes worth of downloads at the end of any given workday. So my machine is running hot.
Okay, so we have here the credits for this song as per Tidal. Label, Fat Records. Producer, Ryan Green.
Mm-hmm.
Composer, Chris Jord Todd. Group background vocals, Chris Hanna.
Ooh.
Lead vocalist, Todd Kowalski.
All right. Well,
mastering engineer, Jason Livermore.
Love Jason.
Recording engineer, Adam Kramer, Bruce Little, Ryan Green.
Interesting. I have never heard those other two names. Can you say those two names of those engineers one more time?
Adam Kramer. Bruce Little.
I have never heard those names. So I may be tracking them down.
click on the name Adam Kramer, and he is listed as a recording engineer on Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Acids, Back to the Motor League, Fuck the Border, and Natural Disasters.
That's
And
it.
then that is correct. And then if I go to Bruce Little, he is listed as an artist in which he has one, two, three, four songs. I can't imagine this is correct data because they seem to be in a different language. Anyways,
Very fascinating. I've never heard either one of those names in all of the years I've been making this show. So you have just given me a little bit of new homework because I've had JP Peters on the podcast, and I actually interviewed JP recently for Witch Police Radio in Winnipeg. So talked to JP Peters a couple of times. I've talked to Ryan Green. I've talked to Jason Livermore. I have not tracked down Donnell Cameron yet, who made How to Clean Everything. And Bill Stevenson declined because Jason Livermore already handled it. But I've got a nice little propaganda engineering, subplot going on here on the show. So if those other two names are worthy of consideration for being on the show, I may track them down. Oh, I also talked to Paul Yee, who recorded Chris Hanna's Patreon album at Stereo Bus Recording in Winnipeg. So that Patreon episode that I made with Chris Hanna, where Chris co-hosted the entire thing with me, has a great interview with Paul, who did some engineering on that too. So there's a lot of engineering discussion throughout the show, but that's cool to know. So thank you for sharing that.
title is great for that kind of stuff. Like, what are they listed for the entire album credits? Are they listed anywhere else, or is anyone else listed? Bruce Little? No, they're listed on every as recording engineer on every song on this record.
Interesting.
Actually, sorry, they're not listed. Oh, it's because that's why. They're not listed as with friends like these. The fuck needs COINTELPRO. It's just Jason Livermore on that one.
Mm,
And the Fuck the Border demo version is also Jason Livermore.
interesting. Okay, well that's kind of cool to know. Okay, so I really like Jord's overindulgence in China cymbals in parts of this song. He's hitting these China cymbals so hard. He's hammering the crap out of those Chinas, and it sounds like he's hitting them so hard that like he almost had to be like doing like a Lars Ulrich and like standing up and hitting them like from above, like as hard as he possibly could. But it's that half tempo. It don't matter who they are. Like that part is just like it's just like he's like just pounding trash cans like all over the inside of a recording booth. I mean, it is absolutely monstrous. So that's my favorite part of the drums is the way that Jord is just hitting the living crap out of some China cymbals throughout the song on the halftime parts. I love it.
No, it's awesome.
Okay, so should we move on to lyrics and the content of the song and what is being discussed? Because I have thoughts.
I think we should move on to that.
All right, so we've got the opening line, and okay, so first things first, this song is about several things. It's about suburban life. It is about being suspicious of people who may commit crimes against you. It is about suburban enclaves, which, as part of like the U.S. history goes, has been redlined and blockbusted and racially exclusive loans that are, require certain amounts of detail to be federally guaranteed in lending institutions. It's about creating these like all white enclaves outside of the city limits where people can go and be free from diversity of all kinds and live in essentially just a white apartheid separatist system that the American suburbs have become basically since World War II.
So I've got a lot of thoughts on this as well.
Oh
However,
boy.
I just would like to start by saying, would you say that you live in a suburb?
right now.
right now?
I do. I live in what's in Buffalo called a first ring suburb, where I am 10 minutes from downtown, super close to the city itself. And my suburb is actually quite diverse. I don't have
Is it its own
the
city or does it count as Buffalo?
I am in a city called Amherst, New
Okay,
York,
that's
which
what
is
I
a
thought.
population of about 100 something thousand. Yeah, so it's pretty darn big. But I'm basically as close to the city limits almost as you can get, but just outside of it.
Okay, because like technically, I live in downtown Hamilton. So
Hmm.
currently do not live in a suburb.
Got it.
However, where I was getting with this
Hmm.
is do you do you know of people in your neighborhood that are rigged up with cameras?
Oh, absolutely. Almost every house on my street has a Ring doorbell camera running 24/7. Almost every single one.
Isn't that weird?
Yes, it is. I mean, people have different reasons for
Like
running
survey like
those.
there's just so much surveillance happening in like regular suburbs now. It's insane.
Yeah, yeah. It's everywhere. It's nonstop. So yes, I see virtually every single house in my neighborhood rigged up with Ring cameras. And I don't really particularly have an opinion on that because you know, people can do whatever it is that they want to do with their house.
Just people anticipating crimes.
Yeah, yeah, there is some of that. And my neighborhood, if you go on our neighborhood Facebook group, people are super bent out of shape constantly because people's cars get rifled through in my neighborhood every single night. It's a very ongoing issue in the neighborhood. It's happened to every single house pretty much in the neighborhood, including mine. But you just got to lock your stinking car. You know what I mean? So there's an
So
obsession with
people are
surveillance.
upset that people are going through their cars when they're leaving their car just unlocked.
Yes.
It's like someone would be upset if someone came into your house if you left the door unlocked.
Yeah, yeah,
That
and
seems weird thing to be upset about when it's kind of your fault to begin with.
yeah, and the cars aren't getting stolen. They're getting rifled through. But every single day on my neighborhood Facebook group is, oh, so and so was on my street, and here's the Ring doorbell footage, and here's the person. If anybody recognizes this person, let me know because they're going up and down so and so street at 2:30 in the morning, going through cars, and then they'll post the pictures directly from the Ring doorbell directly to the Facebook group, and then there's constantly like 150 comments about people being like, who's this? This looks familiar. And then it's like, it's possible that somebody could be misidentified. And it's
Oh
basically
yeah,
like,
it's terrible.
it's borderline vigilante justice.
Yeah.
So who knows if they ever actually solve and
No,
get
no,
any.
not they're all useless. No one does anything with these cameras. And the police aren't going to do anything if someone comes and rifles through your car. Like nobody cares.
Yeah,
Lock your doors.
the cops, they all call the cops, and the cops always say, "Was your car locked?" And they're like, "No." And the cops like, "Lock your car," and they're like, "Okay." And then that's the end of it. Um, but yes, the opening line, "Suburbs tremble again," is this anticipation of crimes being committed. So there's the fearing the have-nots at the window, collecting their fair share. So I have these like core childhood memories, right? And like I lived in like a suburb in St. Louis in the 80s and early 90s that was 99.5% white at the time.
I challenge you to find a whiter neighborhood than the one I grew up in.
I mean, mine was pretty white. So I have vivid memories like watching the news, like eating dinner in my 99.5% white suburban enclave in Missouri as a kid and watching the news of the quote unquote inner city. And I'm not even joking, man. The only memories I have of watching the news when I was a kid at the dinner table was like murder, arson, rape, drugs in the city. And it's like these like ingrained childhood memories of like, and then I would watch the news, I'd be like 5. And then I would think that everything was about rape, murder, arson, and drugs. So I would go to the front window of my house, which had a glass window that I could like pull the curtain back. And I would go to the window at the front door and I would pull the curtain to the side, and I would look out into the street in front of my house, and I would look to see if I could see rape, murder, arson, and drug deals going on outside my house. And then when I couldn't, it would take me like an hour to calm down. But it was really wild to just be completely programmed into thinking that if you lived in the city, that is what your constant reality was going to be. And I was 25 miles from where these broadcasts were happening, but I was like, oh my God, what if they come to my house? So it's the way kids are raised, and the way they're conditioned over many years, to come and think that way, that it's coming to your door and you got to be ready for it, because it's definitely coming to your door specifically.
Yeah, like to give you an example, at my elementary school, which was kindergarten to grade 6,
Mm-hmm.
there was about 400 kids that went to that school. There was one single non-white person
Yeah.
in the 7 years that I went to that school. One.
Yeah. Yeah, and mine was a busing situation that was ruled by the Supreme Court and ordered to desegregate in the 1980s. So all the kids that came to my school district from down from the city in St. Louis out to my suburb, all had to like go and get on the bus at like 5 a.m. like every single day, and they were getting home off the bus at like 6:30 p.m. because like the bus rides were astoundingly long to and from school every day. And then the teachers would obviously be on their cases because they'd be like asleep at their kids would be asleep at their desk, who had been on the bus since 5 in the morning, and the teacher's like, "Wake up!" And like so, it's just like a wild situation thinking back on different life experiences that people go through. But I, as you may or may not know about me, I get a little nerdy on this show, and I found out that in 2023, the Home Security Market Report by SafeHome.org found that 39 million U.S. households have a home alarm system. This is out of the 72% of households that have at least one security device, which also includes video surveillance and video doorbells.
Oh, I didn't even know that was planned. I brought that up completely on.
Bro, I got the stats, man. 72% of homes in the United States in 2023 had home surveillance of some kind, and I'm sure that that's more
I
like
want.
75 now.
I wonder what the data is for Canada in that, if it's less. I got to
I
imagine it's less. Like I personally do not have anything. But I know every single one of my neighbors has told me they have a camera that points at my house.
Yeah. That's
So that
exactly
if
the same situation for me too. I don't have
anything
anything.
happens to my house, I have 6 neighbors who I can get camera footage from. Not that I like it's everything's fine. Nothing
Yeah.
happens here. Like
Every single one of my neighbors has cameras pointed at my house as well. So it's an identical situation that you and I have. And now we've just totally set ourselves up to be burgled, and because we just outed ourselves as unsecure homeowners. So anyway, millennials are more likely to have a security system than baby boomers, which was interesting. Men are more likely to have a security system than women, which I found very interesting because
that is super interesting.
it really is. Because think about who is the victim of one of those genders against the other far more regularly. But yeah, 44% of consumers prefer professionally installed security systems, while 42% use hardwired devices. No idea why I included that information in the show, but I did. And security cameras are the most common form of home security, followed by dogs, firearms, and security systems.
So security systems
Yeah, that would be like a Brinks thing
are
where you
number
go.
4.
Yeah, you go in the house and it's like beep 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 beep, and you have to plug in the code on the
Yeah.
wall.
So you're
That's
telling me
yeah.
that more people have guns than that?
Oh yeah, heck
That is
yeah.
insane.
In the U.S.,
Oh,
way yeah. Oh my
God.
God, think about how hard it is to have a security system. First of all, you got to have a subscription to some kind of service, right? You got to have maintenance. There's wiring that goes into it. It has to be installed. You got to put the sensors on the windows. And hilariously, my house used to have a security system, but I have not activated it. So the previous owners did have one at one point because there's like little sensors on some of my windows and stuff. But guns, oh, dude, you just go and you buy one of those babies and you put it next to your bed and you wait to you wait to, catch somebody climbing through your window so that you can just, pull out your gun.
Maybe this
Way
is
easier.
my naivete,
It is. It is.
but
You are so Canadian right now.
I just can't even believe that that many people have guns. Like I
Well,
can't even like I could not even tell you like off the top of my head. I can think of maybe 3 people in my life that maybe own a gun.
I am the only person in my extended family that does not own a gun. The only one. I am willing to make that statement. Well, okay, I take that back. I have one cousin who, if I had to put money on it, likely does not own a gun simply because they live in a Scandinavian European country. But I
That's
think that
fair.
every single one of my family, except for me and this one cousin, have guns.
That is blowing my mind.
So I do have some statistics on guns. You ready for this?
Oh God, I no, but let's do it.
This is okay, so here we go. The percentage of Americans who own guns is 40%, or approximately more than 134 million Americans live in a home with a gun, while 32% of Americans report personally owning one. About 107 million people report that they own a gun. Comparatively speaking, 28% more people report having firearms in 2024 than they did 20 years ago. So, compared to 2 decades ago, when this song New Homes for Idle Hands was released, gun ownership has gone up 28%.
I'm not surprised that it's gone up, but God, that is brutal. I
Well,
first of all, I anyone listening, none of this was planned. These are my genuine reactions, and Greg just happens to have all the stats to counter my genuine reactions.
hey, you know that I come out swinging on this show, man. I come ready to rock.
And I
uh
came super unprepared, so I don't even know what Greg has happening, and this is all just organically happening, and it's kind of blowing my
and
mind.
and I also want to, so it says that 32% of Americans report personally owning a gun. Okay. That doesn't sound like a lot. You got to think about how many Americans are under the age of 18 and how many live in places like retirement homes. How many people are legally barred from owning one through like felony convictions or incarceration or whatever.
And then how many guns
Um,
are unregistered and illegally out there?
exactly. So
Oh
you
my
could
God.
say, because you could be one of those 32% of people who personally report owning one, or you could be the 68% of people who report not owning one. And you know that a bunch of those 68% of those people have plenty of guns, just didn't report it in this one survey that I'm drawing this data from.
So, oh God. Here's a question.
Okay.
Based off us going to the Bills tailgate,
Uh huh.
what percent, how many guns do you think were physically at the tailgate?
Oh,
Whether they're
so
in
many.
people's cars or
So many, but you also have to remember that we are in state of New York. New York versus a place like where I come from, like Missouri, totally different as far as like, conceal and carry rates and things like that. I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, but in New York, there would be way fewer guns at a Bills game than there would be at like a Kansas City Chiefs game in Independence, Missouri.
so like what tailgate do you think has the largest percentage of guns out of all the NFL? Obviously, let's bring this back to NFL, but
Uh-huh.
which tailgate has the most guns? Is it Dallas Cowboys? Is it
Houston
Houston?
Oilers, Oilers,
Oilers.
Houston Texans.
Is it Warren Moon's out there throwing passes for the
Yeah, no
Houston
joke, man.
Oilers?
It's insanity here. We got the Houston Texans, we got the Dallas Cowboys. I would say the Jacksonville Jaguars, but no one goes to Jacksonville Jaguars games.
Is it
Um,
the Miami Dolphins or
no,
Buccaneers?
I
No?
don't think it would be one of those places. I feel like it would be definitely the maybe the Tennessee Titans, and the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans. I would say that if you go to one of those three, you're going
What
to be
about the Cardinals in Arizona?
no, I don't think so. I
Don't they,
mean,
I feel
there will
like
be
there's lots.
plenty. There would be plenty, but Arizona is like a swing state, right? There's a little bit of it's a little different in Arizona. If you think about a place like that would be like really packing, it would be like Chiefs, Titans, Texans, Cowboys. Those games, I guarantee you there's a gun and so many cars at those tailgates.
Oh man, that is disgusting.
It would be really interesting to have if there was like some kind of like way to like x-ray all the vehicles that were in those games and just like put like a little red dot on the roof of like every single car that like was detected to have a firearm inside of it. Like that'd be amazing.
Well,
Ugh.
if anyone with that technology is listening, you're welcome for that idea.
I would love it. Yeah, they maybe make a little bit of money off that idea. You should try to trademark that. Okay, so we got the next line. They demand justice and every criminal locked away, as well as any kid who might do something wrong. I kind of alluded to this earlier. You don't actually have to do anything wrong in order to be a viewed with suspicion and contempt. Because like when I was saying like earlier, like a lot of the kids who would ride the bus from the city to my suburban school district growing up, I think back and those kids were treated like total shit by the teachers, by the administration. The suspension rates were like outrageous. They were viewed with a massive amount of suspicion nonstop compared to me and my moron group of friends who were likely breaking more rules than all those kids combined. Um, so, I think about the fact that there's you don't even actually have to do anything wrong in order to be the recipient of the ire of the suspicion class, right? The people who like lord over with the surveillance state, lifestyles that we all live these days.
I have a tangent story.
All right, go for it.
So probably like 7 years ago, 6 years ago, can't remember when. I was in Dayton, Ohio for work. Yeah, unfortunate. And whenever I travel, I always bring my skateboard and I skateboard around. So I was one of the guys that I was like working with that lives in Dayton. We like went out skateboarding after work one day. And we were skateboarding just like around a neighborhood. And there's a building kind of like in the downtown of Dayton. It's like the big like Masonic temple building. It's massive. It's beautiful, really old building. So we decided to like pick up our boards and just like walk around and like look at the building because they had like cool window art and stuff. The people in the building called the cops on us
Yeah, I'm not
because
surprised.
we were literally just standing outside doing nothing. And they called the cops and they're like, "We saw you here last week. You were skateboarding, you were trashing stuff." I'm like, "Listen, buddy, I'm 40 years old. I can
I,
barely stand up on this skateboard.
I'm
I'm
from
not,
Canada.
yeah, I'm like, I was not even here last week. Like, this is not a thing." And it was 100% because like we had the skateboards that they just assumed we were up to no good and
Yeah,
that they called the cops on us. And it was obviously this happens to people far worse situations than the one I'm talking about here, but it's just a little personal experience situation where it's like we were literally just two adult men walking, carrying skateboards, and had the police called on us because two senior citizen adult men determined that we looked like we were up to no good.
well, it's your own damn fault because you went to Dayton, so you deserved every bit of that harassment, no question, because you went to Dayton. Okay, um, so we got this next line. I really like this line. These next couple lines actually. There's a jail out of town with fences so high we won't think about who's inside. Neighbors are disappearing behind the bars. Kids are doing time for petty crimes. It don't matter who they are, don't matter if they're alive. A warehouse for victims of circumstance. And I love the way I love a warehouse for victims of circumstance. Like Todd delivers that line like very powerfully. It's very, very powerfully delivered. Um, and then we've got this line that really jumps out. Cops are rounding up slaves, workers that can't complain or come late, a workforce behind bars. They'll make gadgets, circuit boards, or fix cars. I went down a massive rabbit hole of researching prison economies and jobs on the insides of prisons. And I've learned so much this week. It's been very powerful.
So the here's I actually have stuff to talk about for here,
Yeah,
surprisingly.
do it.
Have you visited any prisons, like former prison sites or anything? Have you done any of that?
Yeah, I've gone on some tours. There's a Missouri penitentiary in Jefferson City, Missouri that I've gone on a tour of. I've gone on a tour of Alcatraz. So I've gone on like some like historical prison
Okay.
tours. And I've seen some jails that were like converted into like restaurants and stuff like that over the
Have you been to
years,
the
where
one
there's
in
like
in Joliet?
in Illinois. No, I have
Yeah.
not. I've
Okay.
driven past it though.
But that's the Prison Break prison. I've always wanted to go to that one.
Yeah.
But so where what I was getting with this was so I went to I can't remember the name of it, but it's in downtown Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of the first maximum security prisons in the US, and now it's turned into a museum about the problems of incarceration.
Huh. Cool.
Super, super fascinating uh like visit to do. And like they've got like Al Capone's former cell in there, like still set up exactly how he had it, the whole deal. But um, it was very, very fascinating in terms of all of the statistics and everything that you learn going there about the problems with mass incarceration. So it's cool that they took that prison and made it into kind of a learning experience about the problems within mass incarceration. So that one. And then last year, Zoe and I went and we visited the Kingston Pen, which is the biggest and most notorious like defunct now prison in Canada,
Mm.
where they and part of the tour was they took us through the workshop where everyone used to work and see like the conditions that people were working. So this prison was, I think, if I remember correctly, it was like it's only been defunct for like maybe 15 years. Oh God, I'm gonna seem like an absolute idiot for not remembering the days here. Let me
Oh,
just
who can remember
briefly.
days?
Kingston Pen. Sorry, I'm
Is
looking.
today Thursday?
Kingston Pen. When did it get defunct? Okay, it was built, it was opened in 1835 and closed in 2013.
Ugh.
So if you can imagine a building that still looks like it was built in 1835, that people were still in it in 2013.
Yeah.
So with 11 years ago, people were still working in this building and being housed in this building. And it is, I cannot even believe that people had to be in those conditions for one. And then the workshop area, horrific.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so if you want to know about work inside prisons, I have a source that I would direct everybody to. It's by a group called the Marshall Project, and there's an article which I strongly recommend. It's called Prison Money Diaries: What People Really Make and Spend Behind Bars. And it came out in August of 2022. Some details that I found is that, just to summarize, like prison pay maxes out at 52 cents an hour. So max, the highest you can earn is 52 cents an hour. And that's after multiple years of raises and impeccable performance and impeccable behavior.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. And in several states, including Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Texas, if you are in jail, you earn no money whatsoever for any of the work that you do. Zero.
That's a crime.
Well, yeah. I mean, duh. It's like, obviously that's horrible. Um, and inside prisons, everything costs money. Everything. So an 8-ounce bag of Maxwell House coffee, $10. Mayonnaise, $6. Toothpaste, $3 or more. Soap, deodorant, toothpaste, all cost money. There are also fines everywhere. So you get the money, but they do everything they can to get it back from you. If you break your ID bracelet, you have to pay for it. If you go somewhere you're allowed to go, like on a specific patch of grass, you get fined. If you have a wardrobe infraction, you get fined. One anecdote stood out for me from a guy who sits at a computer all day and issues speeding tickets for people who go through toll booths without paying in the state of Florida. So this is hilarious. He's like, you're expected to work 10 hours a day, 7 days a week for 20 cents an hour. On top of this, there's an hourly quota of license plate tags you're expected to reach. If you can do this adequately enough on a consistent basis, you're eligible for a raise every 6 months. The raise is a nickel. You can get a nickel raise every 6 months up until you reach the maximum threshold of 55 cents per hour. Breaking it down, you have to work for them for a minimum of 3.5 years before you can reach a Class A pay grade. I'd like to point out that a single ramen noodle soup costs 65 cents in the canteen, and the price is steadily rising. You can work all day and barely have enough to put together a decent meal. So you get charged out the wazoo for every single little item that you can imagine. If you have no money in your account, you go without. And that article that I mentioned from the Marshall Project has like this incredible collection of stories from people who are incarcerated to tell how they make money, what they do with their money. It's a wonderful thing. Another thing is internet usage in prison is extremely expensive. Incarcerated people in the U.S. Have very limited access to the internet, and it's through secure systems designed specifically for prisons. They have limited email communication, video, and access to educational and job training materials. These services are rarely free, and incarcerated people and their families have to pay high fees. So, for example, email is usually provided through third-party vendors. Some of them are like JPay, Global Tel-Link, Securus Technologies. They charge a fee for email with costs calculated per message or per page. And there's general range. So people may pay between 25 cents and $1.25 per email.
That's
Uh,
ridiculous.
yeah. And so there's tablet rentals, which range from $3 to 10 cents per minute to be on an iPad. Incarcerated people may pay extra for additional services like downloading songs, which is like $1 or $2 per song, or renting movies. And it is quite a profitable business model for people to run these very, very for-profit systems within these prisons. So definitely go and check out that Marshall Project article. If I remember, maybe I'll put a link to it, but it's so good and so worth finding. And I just learned a lot by checking it out.
That's so fascinating and so infuriating.
Yeah, it's worth like digging into more, because obviously if I relayed everything that I was finding, this episode would be 4.5 weeks long, because I could just talk about it nonstop for days. Um, and then but then we got the thing where Chris comes in for the upcoming vocal. He comes in clean after Todd's you know, harsh vocals. Chris comes in and he's like, it's just such a catchy, fantastic vocal melody that he comes in. And the line is, crime pays as the bankers floating bonds to build cages for the inner city's idle hands instead of schools. Fences with factories with fences meet the prisons without walls. Um, so the jails that are doing all this factory labor have fences, and then the prisons that people work in like their, you know, their factory labor where they do repetitive tasks, who people who are not imprisoned at all, but just have these like very like dead end like jobs. So he's like, these prisons have walls and these prisons don't have walls, but the labor being performed inside of them is totally the same. I was watching this show with Jeremy Renner called Mayor of Kingstown, and there's some really good commentary on private prisons, how they get into the pockets of politicians because of how much money there is to be made running private prisons.
Private prisons are should be illegal. Like I've seen so much. Like there was a good John Oliver thing about private prisons like
Yeah,
years and years ago. Like it was horrific.
yeah. I mean, and in order to make money as a private prison, the corporation enters into a contract with the government. The contract states the basis for payment to a corporation. It is then based on the size of the prison, based on the monthly or yearly set amount, and it is paid based on the number of inmates. So let's suppose that a prisoner housing costs $100 a day to incarcerate somebody at full capacity in a prison, including all administrative costs. $100. That's our baseline. And then the prison building can hold 1,000 inmates. A private prison can offer its services to the government and charge $150 per day per inmate. So if a state government run prison runs out of space, their choices are very limited. They can either start freeing people regularly, which, I mean, maybe they should do that.
Maybe they should start freeing people with bogus weed charges.
Yeah, there you go. Or you can get these super profitable companies who just take that extra $50 as the profit to the private corporation. So the government will agree to these terms if the $150 is less than if the prison was publicly run. So the difference is where the private prison makes its money, between that $100 and $150. So those businesses, they try to save money wherever possible to increase the bottom line and profit margins. And then they profit off of they mark up the cost of caring for incarcerated people, which means that it theoretically can earn $50,000 a day on a prison that houses 1,000 inmates. So there's a lot to learn about that, but there's so much corporate lobbying for lawmakers. And the way they get them is they say, we're going to advocate for stronger enforcement of laws. And then it turns into a law and order political talking point, which then turns into, we're going to create jobs by opening this private prison, and then we're going to employ this many people in the town. And then wham, you've got public support behind it. So that's how all these things come to exist. And obviously, this is a massive boiling down of a huge issue, but it's the best I can do within the time we've got.
It's interesting. Like, I mean, you did a great job. And I'm super fascinated. I'm absolutely going to read that article. Like, it just really sheds light onto like something I was just again discussing the other night on my evening podcast that I have with Zoe while we just talk on the couch every night.
Yeah.
But like, man, like business is terrible. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to offend anyone, and I'm gonna get absolutely roasted for saying this, but like, business sucks, man. Like,
Yeah.
if everything is put like, I don't know where we kind of where that turn happened in society in which everything needs to be monetized and everything needs to be maximized and extracted for like maximum profit. Like, because I don't really necessarily remember in my lifetime, like, like 20, 30 years ago, there was some basic things that were just like, you help people out. And now everything is monetized, everything is profitable, everything. And there's certain things that absolutely should not be that.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about this, imagine being the person who came up with the idea that there was massive corporate profits to be made between the $100 and the $150 cost of incarcerating a human being. Be like, imagine being the person that figured out that if you start a corporation that builds a prison, you can ask the government to give you a contract to imprison people there because it will save the government money. Instead of them having to build a new prison, this new prison already exists. And all they have to do is give you an extra $50 a day, and you'll have the people at your jail, and then the state won't have to worry about it. Imagine being the person to figure out that there was money to be made by turning prisons private. Like,
Who do we know? Do
ugh.
we know who is what was the first ever for-profit prison? Do we know that?
Ooh, Google time. For-profit prisons. Okay, so the first for-profit prison in the United States.
1984.
Oh, okay. Louisiana was the first state to privatize its state penitentiary in 1844.
What?
Yeah, private prisons in the U.S. Oh, San Quentin in California was the first for-profit prison in the United States, opening in 1852.
But was it private though? Like, isn't
However,
San Quentin
how,
is a state prison, isn't it?
However, the private prison industry experienced a resurgence in the 1980s, largely due to the war on drugs.
Because we have
So,
the Core Civic, which
so this
is
is
formerly the corporate corrections corporate of something of America, right? So it has by Thomas W. Beasley, Robert Krantz, and T. Don Hutto.
yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of information here. I'm seeing modern private prisons first emerged in 1984 when the Corrections Corporation of America, now known as Core Civic, was awarded a contract to take over operation of a jail in Hamilton County, Tennessee. So we're looking this up in real time here, people. You all can find this information for yourselves. You are smart people. You listen to propaganda. Um, but but obviously this is a Reagan era war on drugs situation, which has flourished and put millions into the pockets of some very powerful people.
So like
So
worse people, the people who pioneered the for-profit prisons or the Sackler family.
I don't know, man. My ranking of evil at this point is very my meter is just totally off kilter inside of my brain and conscience. Um,
Like
but
you just think between the for-profit prison people and the Sackler family, just how many people that has impacted in such a
mhm,
horrific way between those two people, essentially. Like that,
yeah,
you're looking at like what, like 100, 200 million people, maybe 300
yeah.
million people. Like,
Well, and I just want to point out that this song is not over here, and we have a amazing whispered, a viciously whispered line. We shall have your skulls. Oh man, when you really listen to that whispered, we shall have your skulls. Oh God, like this band. Oh man, that was so good. It says they'll kick you to the ground. You'll find yourself employed again on the inside. So after you are working outside, but you get arrested, you're going to find yourself working again, but this time you don't get paid for it if you live in Arkansas, Alabama, Texas, aforementioned
Mississippi,
states.
yeah.
Um, so no matter where you are, prison or free, you will find yourself with your labor extracted. Great song, man. Real great song. Love it. I
But
can
this song,
understand why they would never play it. The song is so intensely vocally delivered, and it's just not a style that Todd's doing anymore. But what a cool song.
let's all just give this song the flowers it deserves.
Yeah, it's a good one. Real good. Um, and I found one YouTube comment about this song that says, "This song deserves more comments because there were none."
Did you write that comment?
No, somebody
Oh.
else did, thank God. But that's all I could find because I like to read YouTube comments. I always wonder what people have to say about a particular song. This one, nothing. No comments.
That's
Basically,
insane.
yeah, people don't know about this song. I'm pretty sure, man. They really haven't gotten a deep dive into the lyrics, but
I hope
man,
this episode really helps people connect with the song more because it absolutely deserves that. The topic alone deserves people's attention.
of the 75 people that are going to hit play on this episode, 14 of them will make it past our Buffalo Bills segment. And of those 14, 10 will really come to love this song. So I'm here for those 10 people.
We do this show for those 10 people. That's the only reason we do the show.
That's why we're here. And hey, you know what, man? I got to say, I really struggled with one of our recent episodes, that laughing stock episode. I did not have a shred of fun recording that. This one, I got fired up, man. I feel like the old me with regards to some of the classic ranting that I used to do on this show a couple years back. I feel like the old me coming out.
We haven't gone in depth like this in a very long time. Like my nonsense has really taken over the show lately.
Oh boy. Well, I have counterbalanced your nonsense with some hard facts and heavily researched data. But my takeaway from the song is that I have a lot that I don't know, man. There's so much more to learn. Like I
Yeah.
have got links galore like in my tabs about prison everything. Just learning about the ways that prisoners are controlled with regards to their communication. Imagine spending $1.25 to send one freaking email. You know what I
That
mean?
better be a friggin' important email.
Better be a hell of an important email. Yeah, because if you don't have the money, man, like that is you are cut off. Ugh. Okay, what do you rate this one?
I'm giving this a 4 out of 5.
All right. I'm going with 4
Four
also.
bicep
Dude,
Hannahs out of 5 bicep Hannahs.
dude, the way like this song is really next level because of the way that Chris and Todd both sing on it.
Yeah.
I think if Todd only sang this whole entire song, and they didn't have that super melodic Chris section, I would be like, all right, the content of the song is really important, but it may have like just like lacked a little bit of a hookiness that like gives me something to think back on. Because man, when Chris comes in, he's like, "Cry peace as the baker's floating bones." I'm just like, oh my god, I just
Yeah.
melt because it's so good. And Chris on Today's Empires doesn't sound like he sounds on any other record.
No.
He sounds completely unique on the recording of Today's Empires compared to all of his other vocal performances on all of their other records. Like if you think about this song and like the way he sings on Bullshit Politicians, like Chris sounds, he has a really specific sound on this record that he never emulated on another record. So I am all about this song because it has that dual vocal attack. So good.
Yeah, this is, as we said, a hidden gem. And the 10 people that listen this far, please enjoy this song.
You rock. Okay, hit us up on email, propagandipod@gmail.com. If you want to join our Discord, let us know. We're always welcoming cool people, but if you suck, please do not join.
Jog on.
Jog on. Okay, well, we'll see you next time. Steve, thanks for the great game, and talk to you soon, pal.
Have a good one.